Hi, nurse. Welcome to Struggle to Strength.
Hi, Mary Beth. Thanks for having us.
Well, I am Mary Beth Simone, and I am the founder and CEO of Niche Partnership Consulting. I teach entrepreneurs and professionals how to create their contingency plans so that they are prepared for an emergency and their second in command is empowered to step in and keep business and life running smoothly. My business was born out of a personal struggle story, and that is why I'm so excited to bring this series to all of you. I aim to highlight the people and the strengths that have developed as a result of their struggles. And if you're with us live today, please let us know in the comments. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and we will try to get to them throughout our conversation. So, Nars, thank you for joining me. We are going to focus our conversation on overcoming the challenges of presenting TED Talks. So before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your work?
Well, sure, Mary Beth. I grew up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and then moved into Cape May, New Jersey. I started out as a teacher and doing graduate work at the University of Pennsylvania, and then I morphed into a national advocacy campaign spokesperson, and that took me into marketing communications. And now I'm leading the company called Princeton Strategic Communications, which is serving hundreds of clients in the Northeast region in marketing communications and advocacy. So it's really all started with helping students to understand more about what was important in life, and then morphing into helping clients tell their stories about what they do and why they do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I first connected with you when I applied to be a speaker at Tedx Cape May, and Tedx Cape May is now in its 10th season. So can you tell us what inspired you to bring Tedx Cape May to light and what the journey has been like for you?
Sure. The story begins really with the time when I was working as a teacher in Cape May County, and also working with what was known then as the Mid-Atlantic Center for the Arts. It's now called Cape May MAC. And we were very focused on developing what we called cultural tourism for Cape May County. So what could people do as they visited in the shoulder season of this regional area? And we started music festivals, we started theater programs, we started a wide variety of cultural activities for our guests. And the biggest challenge was always doing what we would consider a lecture series or talks. You know, how do you get a lot of people to want to come into a room and think about big ideas? And the reason we were doing this is because, you know, there's a tradition at the Jersey Shore that you're either going to provide recreation, which is eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we go back to work, or you're going to provide recreation, which is helping people to restore their heart, mind, bodies, and souls in the context of a wonderful ocean. And so in the context of recreation, we were looking for these lecture series, and we tried to do various talks, and we never got over 100 people to come. And so one day my wife said, "Why don't you watch this TED Talk?" And as soon as I watched it, I was just absolutely, you know, enamored with the whole format and the concept of TED Talks. And so I grabbed some folks I was working with. I was heading up the marketing for Maury's Peers, and I grabbed the CEO and his brother, and we went off to California to go to a TED conference. And it was there we saw Jamie Oliver, you know, dump a wheelbarrow full of sugar on the stage to make the point about how much sugar is being ingested by our children. I saw Bill Gates talk about climate change. We saw Natalie Merchant sing, and it was just an inspiring event. And once you go to a TED conference, the the organizers of TED allow people to basically franchise the TED format in their local neighborhoods. And so that's called Tedx. And so we took the TED formula and married it with Cape May and formed Tedx Cape May. And our first TEDx Cape May event was at the Congress Hall Hotel. It was, it was 10 years ago. And we didn't advertise it. We didn't recruit a whole lot of famous speakers. We got a lot of the local members from the community to put together their own TED Talks. And I was blown away by the fact that way over 100 people showed up for this event. And at the time, it wasn't that, that well done, frankly, compared to where we've gotten to today. But it was an amateur effort at the beginning, and what's happened every single year since is that people that were in the audience step forward and say, "I want to volunteer and help you guys pull off the next one." And the TED program it's nonprofit. Nobody gets paid. The presenters don't get paid. They do it because they care about promoting their ideas worth spreading. And so everything we've done is based on volunteer efforts, the camera crew, the editing crew, the stage production. All of it was has been organized by volunteers. And so now that we've gone through, 8 years of events, and the last 2 have become virtual events, which we'll talk about in a minute. But since we started, there have been over 2,000 people that actually came and attended. There's approaching 6 million people that have watched our TEDx videos around the world. And that's what's really exciting. And that's the reason why people really want to present at these events, because they get an opportunity to see their ideas socialized and go viral across the world. There's 1 billion people watching, TED and TEDx videos every year or more. And, it's just exciting to see all of these great ideas get a platform and get amplified.
I love that you started it with, a not very well practiced or perfected version of TEDx, but just got it out there. And was your intention to try and see what the reaction of the community was, whether they were open to it and excited about it?
Well, it's, the first version of it, like I said, was in the Congress Hall ballroom, and we filled up the ballroom and we couldn't get any more in there. So we decided to move it to Cape May Convention Hall. And there we got up to over 300 people attending. And every year it just got better. The stage production got better. The video crew got bigger. The editing got better. There's been a company called One Trick Pony who does amazing design work, and they volunteered their work. And so when you see the great branding for each of these events, that's credited to people like One Trick Pony. And our Midnight Media, our video production team, donating their time to make these things happen. Every year, more people stepped forward and said, let's take this to the next level. And we got to the point where we needed even a bigger space, so we moved it to the Lower Cape May Regional High School auditorium, which seats 1,200 people. And we could never fill that. We never got to the point. We tried, and that was always the marketing challenge, was to try to get 1,200 people. But I don't think it would be possible to get 1,200 people in Cape May to come to TED Talks. So we have carried forward at the high school, and we plan to go back to the convention hall this coming year. So we were just about to, we just had to pull the plug on the live event just about a month ago, out of abundance of caution due to COVID, and many of those talks will be filmed virtually and then uploaded to the TED network.
Yeah, so can you talk us through what kind of decisions you've had to make and how you've approached managing and organizing the TEDx Cape May event through the pandemic?
So here's the thing, Mary Beth. A a good TED talk is meant to be viewed uh, through the medium of YouTube, right? And it's viewed as a video by the vast majority of the people. But a good TED talk it results from being a speaker being in front of a live group of people. So it's the live people that really give the speaker energy. And there's a synergy between the audience and the speaker that results in a great talk. And so we found that out in firsthand as presenters tried to do what I'm doing right now, which is to basically communicate through a green dot that's on my screen, and it's not the same thing. But we recommended to our speakers that they set up their own little audience in their own little space and get a camera. They can do Zoom or they can get a camera. Some of our speakers got their own camera crew to come in and put together some really professional looking talks. And then we just edited them for the TED Network and uploaded them. And, they have done, really well in terms of the views. This year, what we're going to be doing to, overcome the challenge is we had a very well-known artist, performing artist, Miri Ben-Ari, and she's a Grammy Award-winning artist, and she was looking forward to talk about how music really can bring people together, and she wanted to communicate the message that the world in general needs a little bit more harmony because there's so much discord. And so what we're doing, in spite of the fact that the convention hall is not going to be housing our event, we're having the performance being done in front of a high school audience in their auditorium and filmed and uploaded to the network. So that will give her an opportunity to perform in front of a group in a good setting. The school students were going to be there anyway, and so we're going to just film the TED Talk right there at the school and edit it and upload it to the network. So the thing about the thing about COVID is that it made us all able to communicate through video with everybody, but we've learned that giving a presentation needs to be in front of a live group of people, preferably. So that's the way we're going to carry it forward.
Yeah, that's a brilliant pivot, to give to create a great video and to create a great experience for the presenter and for the audience. So Annette has a question. What were the most popular TEDx talks at Cape May?
Great question, Annette. Thank you. So I was just checking the other day. The all-time winner in terms of views is Max Strom, and he gave a talk about breathing. If you just Google Max Strom and TEDx, you'll see the talk that he gave at the high school. And last time I checked, it was over 2.5 million views. There's Debjani Biswas, who talked about the Me Too movement. She's a woman from Pakistan that came to America and had a really unique perspective on the Me Too movement. And I just saw that she has over 1 million views with her talk. So if you're measuring success by views, those would be two of the top ones. The third one I would say is up there is the one that was done talking about the launch of Obamacare. And Brad Jenkins, if you Google Brad Jenkins, about having a sense of humor in politics, you'll see the third, probably most well-viewed TEDx Cape May talk.
And I'll put links to those talks in the comments after we're done so people can check them out.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Yeah, sure. So what advice do you have for people like me who wish to earn a place on a TEDx stage one day?
So that's a great question. We get a lot of people applying, and the challenge for curating a TED Talk is that you need a smorgasbord of talk types. So you're looking for, you can't have all motivational speakers or life coaches or, just what I would call soft topics, feeling good or just inspiring people to do better in life. You're looking for hard science. You're looking for performances. You're looking for the whole range. If you just go to TED.com and look at the range of types of talks that they have, that's what we're looking to basically emulate. And each of these talks are very different topics, and they're sewn together by a theme or thread that we give it. This year, it's body and soul. So it's a broad theme that unites a lot of different concepts together. So the second thing you want is to realize that the TED organization is looking for ideas worth spreading, something novel, something new. So it's maybe an old idea given a new twist, or it's a novel concept. For example, we had a gentleman come from California, a doctor, who had a cure for cancer that was really novel. It's done really well, and that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. We don't want to just repeat the same things over and over again. We want novel concepts. The types of responses that we're looking from a TED Talk is really four things. We want to help educate people. So there's an educational component to it. We want to really encourage people to explore. In other words, we want to, at the end of the 18-minute talk, and no talk can be more than 18 minutes. They won't allow that to be uploaded, anything longer than 18 minutes to be uploaded to the TEDx network. So in the 18 minutes, your mission is to really inspire people to explore new territory, break into new horizons. And then you want to get people engaged as well. In other words, what are they going to do about this once they leave that TED Talk? And finally, it's inspiration. Inspiration is motivate people to do all of the above, right? To learn more, to engage, and to explore. So it's important that you have a clear idea. And the applications that we have, it's what is your idea worth spreading in 3 sentences, okay? And what will you get out of it at the end of this? What will you come away with? So what's the benefit or the payoff for the people that are viewing? And I can share with your viewers a link for the little talk that I did about how to give a good TED Talk, which we did for the local chambers of commerce. And that would be helpful too. It goes through a series of great TED Talks and identifies the qualities that made these talks so successful. So that would be a good thing for people to look into.
That would be fantastic. That would be great. And then Marjorie has a question about how do you encourage people who are reluctant to speak in front of a large audience to share their ideas? And I'm just curious, have you ever found somebody who you thought, oh, I really want them on the stage, but they are reluctant? It's not their thing to be in front.
Wow, that's a great question. So if you're not a little bit scared when you're giving a TED Talk or any presentation to a large audience, you should be. You just want to channel that in the right direction. So, one of the greatest speakers in American history, William Jennings Bryan, was known to, vomit before his speeches, and he was considered one of the best orators in American history. But everybody that's giving a talk is always very anxious and there's a certain amount of fear and trembling when you're thinking about it, because it's a big responsibility to a big idea. So what do people do to allay that fear? Number one, they write everything out they're going to say almost word for word, and then really practice it so that they don't have to stand up there and wonder what to say. They just have to think about how to say it and how to do it naturally. Some of them hire coaches. There's a number of well-known Tedx coaches that they hire, and I've never met anybody that didn't take it very seriously. When they were preparing for their TED Talk, and then we go through stage here. First, there's the outline, then there's the script, and then there's rehearsing it, and then there's a couple of practice sessions before we go on stage, because the art of a TED Talk is you're up in front of an audience and you're giving your presentation, and you've got a clicker in your hand advancing slides to help illustrate your talk. And so all of that's got to come together. And it's amazing. It's amazing how well people. So another thing, some people that you didn't think had a lot of experience giving talks, okay, they just had passion and commitment and a big idea. They have sometimes done way better than people that were really accomplished presenters. And I could talk about a performer that everyone will have heard of, but that performer really didn't really go viral. It didn't really expand because it didn't connect with the audience. And so it's really the idea. I can tell you one person who broke down in tears in the middle of the talk was the only presenter that she broke down in tears in the context of telling her story and relaying it to the audience. It's the only time in 10 years of doing TED Talks that the audience stood up and gave a standing ovation to the presenter. I've never seen that before, but the tears were totally spontaneous and totally authentic. And it really responded. People responded really positively to that. So
that's so great to hear.
That was
because a lot of people could worry about tears.
You can look up Pam Dore. I don't think she would mind getting some more views. She was a woman who came into a town and rejuvenated the entire town by starting a apple pie business and a bike business with bikes made out of bamboo. Bamboo was ravaging the community, and she turned the bamboo into an economic benefit. So by making bikes, and great story, really great story.
That's fantastic. So Norris, can you tell us a little bit about the makeup of your team? I know I've heard you talk about curators and then your video crew. I suppose there are marketers. What does that look like?
So the team is there's the curator group, and these are folks that really love watching TED Talks and have a really good sense of what makes a good TED Talk. Then there's the team that helps with the marketing and the graphic design work. Then there's just the production of the whole event, making sure the guest experience is really positive. We have always have a reception afterwards, and the sponsors. We couldn't do it without the sponsors that come together to support us either in kind or in cash, and all of that together. We spend a year. It's a cycle, a year cycle of planning and then producing these events, and it's always, it's like giving birth to a new child every year. So much goes into it, and you're always wondering if will they come again for another year for TED Talks and TEDx Talk. This is the big question. And so far, the answer is everybody is, especially these days, I think probably TED Talks and TEDx Talks have really done well during the COVID times, right?
Yeah, inspiration is what we're looking for. So I think it's helped everybody get through tough times.
Yep.
Yeah. Another question we have is what sets an application apart for when you see it come through for your TEDx program?
So I spend a lot of time saying this is a really great idea, but it doesn't fit into the buckets that it doesn't fit into the remaining buckets that we have. Remember, so if we're looking for one that's going to perform, maybe one that's going to bring some humor, one that's going to be hard science, one that's going to be social science, one that's going to be political or maybe controversial, one that's going to be inspirational, uh, one that's going to be, one of the most, and we always have a student category. So we have students from the local high school compete to give a TEDx talk, and one student talked about what it means to have attention deficit disorder, and so, or ADHD, I get ADHD, and that student has gotten over 50,000 views. So it's looking for number one, a talk that's going to fit into one of those buckets that we've talked about of types of talks, and and being in close to the ocean, we always look for people that can help us understand our own environment better, right? So there's the marine environment that we look to try to help educate people about. And so what do you look for? You're looking in the application, what is your idea we're spreading, and how is this different than what anyone else has said? What are you going to say and tell us that's going to say, aha, I've discovered something new. And that's a component. And I'd also say that it helps, honestly, that you have a network that you're bringing to the table, right? So you have, there's some people that are already tuned into what you're doing, because once you produce the TED Talk, you're gonna, your own network is going to start fanning the flame of this, and that's help. So Max Strom, we knew he had a good network when he started, and TEDx really really helped to amplify and build his network. There's two kinds of people that do TED Talks. There are people that have been there and done that. They've done great things and they want to give back to the world. Okay, they've made their name. They don't care about speaking fees. They just care about their idea and they want to get it out there. And the TED network is a whole nother dimension for them to do that. The other kind of person is someone who's coming up the hill that's just, looking for that tipping point, right, for their idea. Not many people have heard them. They don't, they're not famous, but they have a powerful idea, and they look to TED to really take it to the next level. So when you do a TED Talk, there's the audience in front of you. Then there's the TEDx network, which is pretty big. But then the TED editors look at the TEDx talks and decide which ones they're going to fan give a little bit of extra push. And so that always helps. And so the good talks are ones that, the best way to make an application is to take a TED Talk and say, I want to do a talk like this one. But what I'm going to do is here's what I'm going to tell the audience that no one else has been able to share with people. So,
that's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
Part
of the application is which TED Talk do you want to be most like, and so it's a lot of consultants, are applying, and we can only take, when I say consultants or life coaches, they for obvious reasons want to get their ideas across, but I could only have one, maybe two, but usually just one in that category. So I say no to a lot of good people that have good ideas. simply because, it's that smorgasbord of types of talks. So when people come to a TEDx talk, they see maybe 3 talks that interest them, or 4 talks, but they end up loving, 8, right? And so there's, 4 of them that they never knew they would care so much about. And that's the getting people to open up their and find new horizons for these ideas. Um, so that's, and obviously we're always looking for diversity and perspective as well. I mean, that's also part of a good TED program.
Sure. So we're excited. My husband and I are excited to come to the event in 2022. And I know many of the tickets are already sold for next year's event. When will the remaining tickets go on sale?
So the way it's going to work is that everyone that bought a ticket this year has either been refunded, or they have decided to just hold it over till next year, and they're getting 2 seats for the price of 1. I think, let's believe that COVID will be past us next year. We will have 350 seats that we can fill, and we'll have plenty of room for people in 2022. So the way it works is, after we complete this cycle, we apply for a new permit to go next year. And we're planning to have our event next year on October 2nd, with the blessing and permission of the TED organization, once we complete this one. So all the talks that we had planned, most of the talks that we had planned, are going to be uploaded to our network during the end of November. And you'll see information about that at our Facebook page or our website, and be able to watch the talks. And then we'll be welcoming people back in person for the live event next year.
That's awesome. So we'll reserve the date for October 2nd. And we have Nicole Simonin on with
Nicole,
us. Yeah. And so
I
she
was
was
just
on
thinking about
LinkedIn Live
Nicole.
2 weeks ago, and she's with us here today. So can't wait to see her talk.
So Nicole, I was just thinking about her because of the different types of talks. So we wanted Nicole from the beginning to talk about, getting people out of their seats. They spend so much of their time sitting in their seats with TED Talks and the TEDx program. And she did a wonderful virtual talk about using your chair for exercise. All right. It was really novel, I think, really. And that leads to another thing that makes a good TED Talk. It's got to be timely. The TEDx talks got to be timely. So when Nicole thinks about, okay, how are we going to speak to people that are, stuck in their homes, in their chairs, spending most of their life on Zoom? What important idea can we give them? So that talk about using your chair for exercise was perfect. And Nicole was planning to come back next year and do one on dead butt syndrome, which is interesting. I bet, now see, that's something many people didn't even know existed, right? But thanks to Nicole, we're going to understand what dead butt syndrome is. And then she's going to get the audience to interact with her as she helps, I guess, avoid dead butt syndrome. So I'm looking forward to that. But, that's kind of in a talk that's also somewhat of a performance or an interactive type program, which makes for a good talk when you interact with the audience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Norris, maybe we can have you back next year before the TEDx event, just to talk about what's on deck for the second. And where can the viewers connect with you? Where's the best place?
So the TEDxKateMay.com is the best way to go about it. There's a speaker application there, recognizing that this would be applications for the slots that would still be available for 2022. We'll have a few slots available then, but all those applications come to me, and then I'm Norris at TEDxKateMay.com.
Okay, great. I'll put that information in the comments as well. All right. Well, thank you so much. It was great talking with you today.
It was
And we
fun.
hope to have you on again next year.
Thanks, Mary Beth. And thanks
All right.
everybody for paying attention.
Thanks, Norris. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.